We Are So Not Straight would like to acknowledge that the recording of this podcast takes place on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Welcome to We Are So Not Straight,
the podcast where two drag sisters talk about everything curvy, swervy, and crooked.
We are your hosts, Michaela
and DJ, and we are
happy you're tuning in. I have no idea how that sounded. On my side, it sounded perfect, so that probably means we're off, but you know what? Oh well.
Anyway, we are so excited to be back with another episode of Season 3.
But before we get into that, we just want to clarify a couple of things.
First off, for episodes where we judge drag-related things, drag is art, and art is subjective.
Yeah, and all forms of art are valid, so everything that we are judging on has nothing to do with the talent and art of these wonderful artists.
Also, all of the opinions stated on the podcast are our opinions and our opinions alone.
Yes. Also, just because we need to say this, all of our episodes this season are probably going to come with some sort of trigger warning. At least a lot of them are. We understand that if you are sensitive to whatever topic we are talking about, that you may not be able to either listen to this episode of the podcast or at least that part of the podcast. We fully understand that, and we want you to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. This is your daily reminder to drink water, take your medication, and get some rest and relaxation in your life. That would be lovely. So please take care of yourself. Please understand that we understand that sometimes you need to take a breather from some serious topics.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So, for this week's episode, we are not featuring a guest, but we are still carrying on and giving y'all our TV episode specials.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning of last week's podcast, we have decided that this season for the podcast, we would like to be able to have guests that we feel we can have an open conversation with. Due to the fact that some of these topics are quite heavy, and we would like to be able to not have to skip over those serious kind of things. So we are picking people that we feel we can have those open conversations with, and DJ and I are both discussing who we feel comfortable having on the podcast before we reach out to them and ask them to be on the podcast. So that's why we're not having a guest every single week when we are doing this season of the podcast, because we want to make sure that we are having honest and open conversations with our guests.
Seeing as we don't have a guest, Michaela and I decided that we would take turns picking a show when we didn't. So this week it was Michaela's turn, and she picked 3 episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, I picked these specific episodes because, well, I may preface this by saying that Grey's Anatomy has many different 2S LGBTQAI plus community storylines in it. It's actually one of the shows I think that has the most of those in it. But I felt it was really important to include it in this podcast because I feel like there are a lot of very serious, important topics within those storylines. So I picked 3 episodes that I felt went together really well with the underlying topic of acceptance. I felt that that was a really important thing to talk about, and these 3 episodes represent that really well.
Now, seeing as there are 3 episodes, we will be focusing on the LGBTQIA2 plus themes, because of course there's the medical plot because it's a hospital, but we will just kind of be putting that in the corner of shame.
The rearview mirror?
And
the rearview mirror?
Not the rearview mirror.
I don't know. You were trying to figure out what it was saying.
And we're talking about the real shit.
Yeah. So yeah, like DJ just said, we are going to be focusing on the 2S LGBTQAI plus storyline. However, if there is something to do with a surgery or something that does happen within that storyline, that will be talked about as well.
Also, we will be giving individual trigger warnings for people that want to listen to some parts of the podcast and some episodes and some others. So yeah, just before we get into each episode, we will be explaining the very vague contents.
We're going to start off this episode by giving you a little bit of a character breakdown of the two main characters that go throughout the 3 episodes of the storyline. I may also just want to preface at the beginning of this episode by saying that I have seen every season of Grey's Anatomy, and DJ has seen 2 seasons and the 3 episodes that we are recapping. So that is where we are at with, history and knowledge of Grey's Anatomy. Anyways, it's going to be a really interesting episode. I'm very excited to get into it, but let's quickly give you that little rundown of who these 2 characters are, and then we'll get into the episode.
So, our main character that appears in all of these episodes is named Calliope Torres, but her nickname is Callie in the hospital, and we refer to her as Callie just because it's just easier to say. So, she is a chief of orthopedic surgery at the hospital that the show takes place in, because it changes names a ton of times in like the 27 seasons that the show runs the course of. Anyway, she is also a world-renowned bi icon, and she's just getting everything.
Yep. We're also going to introduce you to Arizona Robbins. And Arizona Robbins
I call Arizona Iced Tea.
She's not Arizona Iced Tea. Anyways, Arizona Robbins is Callie's on again, off again partner. You'll understand why I say that when you hear the episodes that we're recapping. She is also the chief of pediatric surgery at the aforementioned hospital. And DJ says that she's the hospital blonde. I honestly don't think that's accurate, but you know what? That's fine.
As Michaela and I were reading the script, I said she gives the scene in Legally Blonde where she's like, "So you're breaking up with me because I'm too blonde?" And she's very much that.
Okay, I think now that you have all that information, let's get into the episodes. So, first episode that we are going to be recapping is season 6, episode 5. I am going to give a quick trigger warning for talk of religion as well as tough family topics.
This is like a good, what's it called? An appetizer. Because, oh Lord, hang on to your seatbelts.
I was an amuse-bouche. That's what
amuse-bouche. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, so we start off the episode by Callie being told that her might-be father is waiting in the waiting room. And from the look of her face, she doesn't seem too excited about that. And we kind of get the idea that things are a little bumpy in their relationship.
Yeah, it's like a look of, he's here? Like, yeah. It's not like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
I was going to say, it's not a happy family reunion. That's what I'm getting from that.
It's not like a Hallmark reunion at the airport. It's just gonna continue back to my patient, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she goes out to investigate in this little like waiting room. The waiting room is tiny, by the way. And so she goes out to investigate, and lo and behold, it is her dad. It's not her maybe dad. It's her dad. So she kind of gives him a hug and is like, "Oh wait, it's actually you. Like, why are you here?" And then she turns, and there's a priest. Her priest from like before she moved to Seattle, and he's there, and she's like, "What?" She's like, "What's going on? I smell a stunt."
I smell a stunt. A stunt is being smelt. Yeah. What do you think about this kind of situation? I mean, I think we kind of get the feeling that her dad had come to like resolve their family situation, and then she, in this excitement, turns and sees that actually he's not here for that reason. What is your thoughts on that?
It's kind of crushing because I feel like, as like queer people, a lot of people don't have the best relationships, with their family. So, if you're on like good terms and you can talk it out, that's amazing. And, if not, you have your chosen family, and that's really cool. And if you choose to rekindle things with your biological family, that's cool too. So like that moment of just like, oh, maybe like we can like do this, and then the priest showing up, I
Yeah,
would
I
have
feel
been
like
mad. Like she handled it way better than me. I would have been like, nope, bye, door slam, lock it, doing all the deadbolts and shit. Just be like,
yeah, well, I think for her it was almost like a crushing defeat in a way because she felt like, okay, maybe we're finally getting somewhere. And then she notices that no, that's definitely not what the plan was. I mean, he traveled 3,000 miles
yeah, like
with a
damn.
priest to
With the
see
I brought
her.
this up. I was like, did he just drag this poor priest along like from the convent and was like, come on, we're going to see my daughter. Like, and the priest was like, yeah, okay, I'll come along. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that they traveled a really long way. And obviously, I mean, based off of experience to do with this kind of thing in the way of conversations, that's probably not the best sign that your father brought a priest all the way to you.
this priest was like, you better fly me first class for this shit. Like, oh
Literally
god.
that.
So then we cut to Callie in Arizona in a back room, and Callie is kind of venting to Arizona and is like, what do I do? Callie suggests talking to him. Not Callie, Arizona suggests
Nope.
talking to
Callie didn't
him.
suggest
No,
it.
No, Arizona suggests that Callie talks to her dad.
And I believe that the quote that she ends up saying is like something like, cut him some slack, give him a little room to be shocked. And I know that
So,
you have a like big opinion on this conversation, so go ahead.
yeah, I'm like, girl, he should not be like it's like we're not different people. It's not like she just told him about some life-threatening disease. It's like, no, I like eating pussy, okay? Like, there's nothing different about that. Like, what do you mean give him room to be shocked? Be shocked about what? Like, and talking, okay, I can kind of see, but it's like sometimes the people just don't want to listen. So talking does nothing. So I'm
Yeah.
like, Arizona girly.
See, but for me, okay, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think that there's anything to be shocked about. However, I do agree a little bit with what Arizona said in the way of he has gone his entire life believing one thing. And now it's almost like, you know how I said the other day that I had to rewire my brain in order to do something different?
Yeah.
It's like that. He needs time to be able to process a change in his routine or his life or whatever. And do
Process
I agree
what?
that
Your daughter likes
no,
to munch
let me
box.
finish.
Okay.
But let me finish, okay? I don't agree fully with what Arizona said, but I also think she has a point in saying that like Callie needs to be understanding as well as her dad needs to be understanding. I think that comes again with that conversation thing. You remember that conversation thing we had with Maya about saying that there's a missed conversation, a missed communication kind of thing happening.
I also think too, it like
them are giving each other the opportunity to grow and accept what the other person is feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I also think it goes into like this topic of like the older generation kind of not being as up to date with the times as like the younger generation. And so it's like if they're older, you know, sometimes they really just haven't been exposed to some of the newer things, and that's totally fine. But it really does take two to listen and, you know, come up to speed with these new things.
So Callie and her dad and the priest go and sit down at a table, and Callie takes Arizona's advice and starts to try to talk to her dad, but her dad is still not amused with the situation.
So they like talk, but it's the kind of talk that erupts into like an argument, and this kind of argument ends up in like a biblical like rock'em sock'em robots, because they are just like Leviticus 13, and then Callie's like Beatitude 6, and it's like, yeah. But I've gotten into like roast battles before where I'm like, and you look like a giraffe, and you're built like a bus driver, but like this was just a different kind of thing, because it was like, Jesus. Callie does say this, and she was like, Jesus said to be kind to people, and that I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting the way that this part is portrayed, because he's quoting things from the Bible, but she's quoting things from the Bible that were said by Jesus, which, like, in this religion and this conversation, Jesus was, you know, one of the I wanted to say the powers. That's not what I'm looking for, but you know what I mean.
Earth, water, fire, long ago.
No,
The elements lived in harmony.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, is the person they listened to. Whereas these other people were followers, right? And so I think that kind of spoke a lot as well to the fact that he was choosing to quote verses from followers, and she was quoting the verse from the leaders.
No, yeah, it's definitely just like Callie does have a point, and this is what I tried to take away from like Catholicism, right? It's just be a good person and don't hate others, and just put good out into the world and you will get good back. And that's, I think, something that we can all benefit from, you know? Like, a lot of the other stuff, I'm not here for. Like, the hate and all the rules and all the shit, I'm not here for that. But the core thing, I'm like, yeah, no, I can get with that. Which I think Callie sees, but maybe some of the more intertwined Catholics maybe are a little less lenient towards. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think with the case of what you were saying about, like, that Jesus said to be kind to one another, and I mean, that is the truth. And I think that there is a place, obviously, you are allowed to believe what you believe. That is your right. That is whatever. There is a place in this world for everyone, if everyone is kind to one another. It is a case of, it's just like the case of people going up to someone and bullying someone and being like, I don't like your shoes, or I don't like your outfit, or whatever. Like, there is, maybe you don't like their outfit, but you know what? Maybe they don't like your outfit, but they're not going to open up and say that straight to your face or anything like that. So it's a case of really taking that time to remember that everybody has a right to their opinion, as long as it doesn't harm someone else.
And that's like the second talking point is, I just said, like, weaponizing religion. Projecting your religion and its sometimes harmful ideas onto, which Catholicism says nothing about being gay, but like just putting that out there. Like, it's the people that started going after the gays and are like, this is wrong. It's like, there's nothing about that in there, sweetie.
Absolutely.
Also, the version of the Bible that most people read is a translation of a translation of a translation of a book that was lost in oral traditions and shit. It's like when, it's like all of us trying to get like Art Pop Act 2. We're like hunting for lyrics that are translated off of websites, and Gaga recorded it once in traffic and it got lost to the time. It's that kind of thing. But it's like, projecting your harmful thoughts onto other people, I'm not here for that. That is not okay ever. So,
point blank, period.
Anyway, Callie is a little shook from the whole experience, and Arizona finds her like crying, and the two have a little interaction.
I also think that this is when Arizona really sees what the effect of this situation has on Callie. And I think that that's what leads her to do what she does next. And what she does next is she actually ends up going and talking to Callie's dad, which, like, bravery, hello?
It's a little weird because it's like the man is looking at a window. He's having a midlife crisis with his daughter. And here comes some blonde girl who's like, howdy, buckaroo. Can I give you a speech? Like, it's a little weird, but the sentiment, like, still kind of stands. She's basically just like, listen, when I came out, my dad said, like, are you still the person I raised you to be? And do you still have these core values? And are you still kind to everyone? And are you still, like, a good person? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, then I don't care. And that's honestly the way, like, to do it, kind of.
I think that's something that a lot of parents could take away from. Because I think that the way that was handled was showing, like, it doesn't matter if you love girls. Like, that's fine. But as long as it doesn't change you in your personality and who I raised you to be. And that, I think, is respectable in itself.
Very. But again, it's just like they're in the middle of a hospital looking out onto the, like, emergency exit. And it's just like, okay, sweet, I guess.
Yeah, right?
So we also see Callie's dad kind of have, like, a little, like, I don't want to say a come to Jesus moment, but he has, like, a little moment. He takes a deep breath and is like, okay. So then, cut to Callie leaving, and her dad is waiting outside in the night, which, way to go, Dad. At night, a woman is walking alone to her car. We couldn't have done this, like, early. Okay. Anyway, so Callie's dad kind of stops her and kind of asks her about her thinking and, like, what to do. And I have mixed signals. Like, I have mixed opinions on the speech, but Michaela, I want you to talk, like, a little bit, because I know you felt some stuff, too.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you in saying that there was kind of a mixed signal in this conversation, because we kind of see a little bit of an acceptance from her dad, but not in a full, like, I support you kind of way. It's more of a, I'm going to try to understand.
He said, I'll try, but I make no promises. And we're like, well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's literally what it was. It was more of a, like, I'll give it a try, but I can't promise anything. And I think that kind of, like you said, gives mixed signals in, is he accepting it, or is he just trying to make excuses?
It's like, then you're just giving up, like, right there. It's like you're not. It's like putting a butt on an apology. It's like you're missing the point. Also, he says that Callie has always been on, like, a bridge, and she's always been on, like, the edge. And he's like, I have to catch you. And it's like, okay, maybe when they're, like, 7, yeah. But when they're a grown-ass woman who is independent, on her own, living in the world, flew 3,000 miles away, you don't need to. Like, okay, but maybe if they go to jail or something, but she's not in jail.
But also, DJ, you have to kind of see it from a father's perspective, right? That's his little girl. So, and she'll always be his little girl. And so, a lot of fathers, I'm not going to say all fathers, but a lot of fathers want to protect their children. And that was his way of saying, I've always been there to protect you. And I always feel like I have to protect you.
See, like, me personally, like, as soon as your child leaves your insurance, the thing should, at least in my opinion, should shift a little bit. It's like, okay, your what was a child is now an adult and is now a functioning member of society. So, but that's in my opinion.
No, and I fully respect that. I mean, for me, my family is, I'm very close to both my parents, and so for me, I know that they would do anything for me because I'm their daughter and they love me and they try to protect me. And there has been times, I think, in my family in general where I've had to just kind of like step in and be like, I'm fine. I'm not a kid anymore. Like stuff. But I think it's nice to have that cushion and that protection sometimes as well. So I think that was his way of kind of showing that he loves her, but it was not done in the best way.
Yeah, it was like, well, I see you, but I'm just gonna walk around it.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
Exactly.
And that's where we leave off in the episode. So,
what did we take away from that episode, DJ?
I took away that it's not always, like, easy, and that sometimes the family's hard. Just family's hard. Family is really fucking hard.
Truly, I think the same thing. I think that one thing to take away from that is that not everyone is always going to accept you, and not everybody's always going to be in your corner. But just because they don't accept you doesn't mean that they're not in your corner. It just may take them a little longer to get to that point. Yeah. And I think that also comes with, I think on our end too, not everybody, but I think a lot on the person who's coming outside as well. I think they need to be a little more understanding that sometimes it takes people a while to come to terms with the fact that things are happening, because sometimes people just don't process things the same way as we do.
No, I hear that, but also sometimes people mean well, but they say the wrong thing, and sometimes it can be very tricky, you know? Because, like I said, with older people, if you, like, come out, they may say, like, oh, well, what does that mean? And it may be a little harsh. And also, sometimes it's just a rough situation in general, you know?
Yeah, there's just, everybody has a different situation that happens, right? Mm-hmm. These are just situations that were created to tell a story in a show. But there are many other different situations that do happen in real life that some go this way, some go the way that Arizona was saying. Like, there's many different ways that these kind of things can happen. So
yeah. All right. So then we go into season 7, episode 12. So we kick things off, like, right fresh into the episode. Callie is having, like, a moment in the mirror. For what reason, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the show. But she's, like, having a moment, and she's called down into her apartment, and someone is standing there waiting for her.
Yeah, it's Arizona. She basically bought out the sub-renters that were, or subletters? That's
sublet, yeah.
Subletters. In the apartment that they were subletting. And we get the, basically we figure out that they, between these two seasons, broke up at some point.
Have been long broken up, and Callie's in another relationship or something. Like, it's... Also, that's the story point. Like, Arizona is trying to get Callie back, but we'll get to that. Yeah. So, we cut to the hospital, and a man is brought into the ER, having been trampled by a horse on his way to sign the domestic partnership with his long-term partner. And this is, like, our main story point for this episode.
It's very important that we point out that at the time that this episode was released, the show takes place in Seattle, Washington. And it is important to mention that Washington had not made gay marriage legal at the time this episode came out. It actually took them another full year in order to do so after this episode.
It's a little scary. Like, not a little. It's very scary that this is so... Like, if you're zoomed into the timeline, like us now, it seems like a long time ago. But in, like, the grander timeline, that is not that long ago.
Well, it's what, like, 10 years ago?
Like, that's not that long.
10 years ago that they made gay marriage legal. And so you actually, if you look at that, that's not like that long ago at all. We were alive during that time. Like, that's crazy to think of.
Damn. Holy shit. Anyway.
But anyways, that is important to note that at the time, that's why we're talking about domestic partnership, because at the time it was illegal for gay marriage to happen.
Like legal marriage, like in the legal sense.
Legal, like to legally become married.
Yeah. So the backstory behind the man getting trampled is, so boyfriend number one, we never actually learn one member of the couple's name. His name is Brady, and then there's obviously the other half. So man number one wanted to make it very special because, I have thoughts on this, but since you can't get married in air quotes for those who are listening on Spotify, he wanted to make the day special, and Brady is Scottish, so he got bagpipes and a horse and carriage to, create a mood, some atmosphere, but the bagpipes spooked the horse, and the horse trampled Brady. If that is not the most Rube Goldberg kind of saw trap looking thing, I don't know what is.
But okay, let's talk about romantic gestures for a minute here, because for me, I think that he thought that through. Okay, let's reiterate that. He did not think that through, because obviously if he thought it through, he would have realized that the bank.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's babe, horses are spooked by loud noises.
But he did it for a reason. So the reason that the bagpipes were part of it was because his boyfriend is very proudly Scottish and loves to tell everybody that he's Scottish.
Also a ginger.
Yes, but that was part of it, right? So that was his part of it with that. And then he wanted to do this romantic gesture where they got to go on a carriage ride to go and sign these papers because they couldn't have a wedding. I think that is so romantic. I'm sorry. I'm standing by that.
No, okay. My thing is, you could have rented out, a traditional wedding venue, or just, any venue, or, because, wedding venue, you cannot say a place, you can be no, you can't use it for your event,
That depends. It's two guys going to try to rent some place.
I mean, yes, but also no. If you don't list that it's for yeah, it's really shitty, but there are ways around it. That's just my feel. Obviously, I wasn't trying to do all this back then, so I really don't know. But I love a good romantic gesture, but this is not how I would do it. Also, I just want to point out that in the episode, they're wearing a blazer, a nice shirt, a bow tie, and then a kilt on the bottom, and I was just who, girl?
Because it was
sense.
Romantic.
Oh, and we have to be Scottish, but no, a bit. I sounded like Harry Potter. That was not Scottish.
You did. That was not Scottish.
Scotland, sweetie, I'm so sorry. But no, cute. It was just, in my opinion, it was a little not the vibe. Not my vibe.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, after we've gotten through this moment of realizing that this guy's been trampled by a horse, we're brought back over to Arizona, trying to talk to Callie, and she is met with the cold shoulder. There is no talking to her.
Listen, I'm petty, but I really only hold on to a 2-year-long grudge if you call me the F slur or something. If you break up with me, it's not that deal, unless it is what I'm trying to say is there's levels, right?
Yeah.
And in my humble opinion, Callie was being a little bit girl, come on, she's trying to talk. She has matured in the time that y'all have been split. She genuinely wants to try and have a relationship, not even a romantic relationship. She just wants to talk. And Callie's like, no. And I'm like, girl.
But you also, here's the thing, DJ. I've seen the whole season. You haven't. So you don't know exactly what happened between the two of them either. So I don't think it's fully fair to judge on the fact that we're watching an episode out of order because you don't know what happened between them. There could have been something catastrophic that happened between the two of them.
Girl, what? Did Arizona run her over with a fucking monster truck?
Well, you also don't know how long ago it was. We don't have the background. We don't have the backstory to it.
Those are my thoughts just on this episode, okay?
Yeah, that's fair.
So then we're back in the ER, and the first half of the relationship is like in the waiting room, and Callie comes out and is like, "Hey, your hubby's awake," and he's like, and they get into this kind of poorly written, but the idea is really good, and they have a chat about like how just literally horrendous it is that they can't get fucking married.
Okay, here's another talking point for you. What would you do if you were in love with someone and you wanted to marry them, but you were told that you couldn't?
What I would do is, I would go sign the papers to, like, do whatever legally. I would do that on just, like, an off day, you know? And then I would rent a venue and just list the reason, like, party or something. I would, invite all my friends and family. I don't need to have it. I mean, I guess it varies from person to person, but you asked me what I would do, right? I don't need to walk down the aisle. I don't need to have that. I just need to be surrounded by people that I love and love me and my partner and just have a good frickin' time. Everyone dress up, dress nice. I get a nice, expensive-ass outfit that I feel good in, and that's what I would do. Like, in terms of, like, oh, you can't stop two people from being together. Like, if two people
that's a good point.
That's love, babe. Like, yeah, in the government sense, like, you can't get married, but, like, what does that mean? You just don't file your taxes together. And, like, if you ever have a child, custody and shit. But, like, that's later.
True. No, that's a good point. So, Brady is awake. And
he's fine.
He's fine. He survives. Thank goodness. But he says that he forgives his boyfriend. And they still end up loving each other. And honestly, I know that DJ disagrees because he would be like, I'm out of here. You trampled me with a horse. But for me, like, that shows how much they care for each other and love each other because he got trampled by a freaking horse. And he still wants to be with him. But also, I'm also going to reiterate the fact that it wasn't 100%, like, for me, I think he was trying to do a romantic gesture. It wasn't on purpose that he got him trampled by a horse. He didn't even think about the fact that it would spook the horses. He was just trying to do something romantic. So I think that it was a fair way to end it with him still wanting to be with him.
Yeah, no, I see that. But again, take a shot every time DJ says, me personally, I would just be like, dude, no. Like, with the fucking monitor beeping. Cut the cameras dead. Anyway, so then we catch up with our two lovebirds, Arizona iced tea, green tea with lemon, and Callie. I don't, like, they have, like, a little speech, and Callie's like, listen, I know I did these things wrong, but you're also kind of wrong for not...
Do it again.
Arizona says, I know I did these things wrong, but also, like, you not listening to me is also kind of wrong. And she's like, you don't have to forgive me right away, but at least listen and give me that respect. And Callie's like, oh, that's cute. I'm pregnant.
Yeah,
and then
she reveals. So basically, we find out that the reason she was crying at the beginning of the episode was because she found out she was pregnant. So, that's fun.
Michaela!
You didn't know that. What? You didn't put two and two together, did you?
No, I thought she was just having a hard-ass fucking day. Wait, so is the dude that calls her down, is that Mark?
Yes.
Thank you for listening, everyone. I'm gonna go have a mental breakdown in my bathroom.
No, so she's pregnant with Mark's
Okay, but
baby.
what was she doing peeing on a stick at like 10 a.m. in the morning? All right.
And this has been we still have one more episode to recap. This episode has a huge trigger warning for attempted suicide. So if that is something that you are not comfortable listening to or hearing us talk about, please skip this part of the episode. Also, there is conversation about conversion therapy in this episode as well, so please be aware that that conversation does come up as well. All right.
So, yeah. So we start off right with the heavy shit. 2 teenage girls are brought into the ER after being hit by a train. And Callie and as well as like the other kind of extra doctors are there to respond.
Yeah, so we learned that the one girl's name is Jess or Jessica, and she gets asked if she knows the other girl who was hit by the train as well, and she denies the fact that she does. She says she does not know her.
But Callie does a little sleuthing and is like, you two have like matching heart drawings on your arm, and Jess reveals that the other girl's name is Aaliyah.
And we get the first heartbreaking part of the episode, which is when she opens her mouth and she says, "We just wanted to be together."
Oh,
that line, I've seen this episode several times, but that line absolutely
it's also just like the look and just that's like the first moment that kind of it clicks in your brain, because like I read the synopsis like when Michaela sent me what episodes we were watching, but it's just like, oh no, my heart.
Well, and I think you realize, I think at that point you realize why they were brought in, like what happened. And I think that was the first little like click of the brain of being like, oh, that's what we're dealing with here.
Jess is still like cognizant and is talking just perfectly. Meanwhile, Aaliyah is in rougher condition. But Callie is like, so do you like girls? As she's literally like stitching her up on the table. And I'm just like, But Jess does.
I think though, the way she did it, was it the right timing? No. But I think the way that she went about it was quite interesting, because she states the fact that she likes guys and girls, and then asks her, do you like girls? Do you like Aaliyah? Which I think was an interesting way to say
it. Interesting is definitely the word, because if it was me, right, like that is not the thing that I would be like. I would not be prodding the people who literally just tried to kill themselves so they could be together in happiness. Like, it's a really heavy thing, and I know it's like a TV show, but like, you can have some emotion, you can have some like heart to heart. I think if Callie really was like just like there and like gave her story and was like, girl, I see you, like, please, I know, you know, like if there was just a little more raw in there, it would have just been like, but it was just a little flat for me.
Well, but she's also trying to figure out what happened too, because at this point I think as viewers we've figured out what's happened, and I think she's figured out what happened, but I think she is trying to get the full story from Jessica as well.
Well, I mean, it that does happen in the end when the two are talking, and we also get a little bit more information about Jess.
Jess explains to Callie that her parents wanted to send her to conversion camp.
Speaking of parents, we meet both girl's parents, we meet Jess's mom, whose name is Bethany. She's blonde, she wears fake ass pearls, her outfit is disgusting, she wears 2-inch heels, so that should tell you everything. But she's aggressive, she's like very much racist and very homophobic. And Jess's dad, Steve, as of right now, is just kind of that one that's like silent, doesn't say anything, and just kind
of a bystander. He's a silent bystander, is what he is.
Very that.
We also meet Aaliyah's father, whose name is Dakir, and we realize that Aaliyah's mother has passed away after Aaliyah asks for her mother before she is incubated. And after telling that to Dakir, he says that she had passed away.
Yeah. Also, I just want to point out the dynamic between the parents is very different. Like, Bethany is like, stay the fuck away from my daughter. And Dakir is just like, where's my daughter? Is she okay? What can I do? Like, sweetie, like, I'm here. I love you. Like, it's just, I just want to, if you actually watch this episode, you will join me in wanting to slap Jess's mother. Okay.
Yeah. And I think going off of that, I think also with the meeting of the parents kind of thing, they're both worried about their child.
But in different.
The interesting thing is Dakir tries to show some like empathy to Jessica's parents, and Bethany does not want anything to do with it because we don't know why at this point, but she knows who Aaliyah is and what Aaliyah, in quotations, is doing to her daughter.
It's so just like, it's hard to watch in the sense because like you feel and you're just screaming at your Netflix, just like, shut up, bitch, but you can't do anything about it. So it's really tough. And in response to what Michaela said and like what Aaliyah was doing to Jess, we're saying all of this in air quotes if you're listening on Spotify, but Jess and Aaliyah would write notes together or to each other, and they were just like the little cute like love notes that you pass around in school. But Jess's mother found the notes and burnt them in the fireplace. I would have burned her too, bitch. Mm-mm.
Yeah, just push her in after. Bye.
Yeah.
No, I
see you in hell.
Yeah, literally. I think that was one of the like most. I think that is one of the parts that really gets you to understand like the relationship between Jessica and her mother at this point too. Is those were things that she kept. She even says, I think she says that ever since she first wrote one of the notes, she's been keeping them. And so it was this whole big...
And she reads them, right?
Well, she reads them when she's feeling sad. So she took basically her comfort item and threw it in a fire.
Start over. Burn the whole thing.
Like, absolutely not.
So Callie comes down and is like, okay, Jess is gonna be okay. And this is where the two first like formally meet, Bethany and Callie. And they give the whatever and explain what's going on. And then Callie hears what the mom is talking about when Jess said camp. Because we didn't know it was like a conversion camp before, but Callie hears it. And and she gives this mom the rightful piece of her mind. And it's actually really interesting because it's like the idea of intervention from an outside source. And like I'm not a lawyer, nor is Michaela, but like, what do you think of like this kind of action?
Do I think that Callie went about it in the right way? No. Do I think that in the case of the fact that she is her patient, and she needs to be concerned for her well-being and her safety. I definitely think that as a doctor in that kind of case as well, I think that she has some rights to step in. I don't think she has all rights to step in, but I definitely think in any case, I mean, even, I'm going to say it, even in my kind of idea in my brain and kind of stuff too, if I heard something like that happening too, I'm not sure I'd be able to like hold my tongue either.
Yeah.
Because I have such a strong feeling towards those kind of things that I'm not sure I'd be able to do it.
I am in the same boat. I don't think doing it in the middle of the ER floor was the best way to go about it. But also, if I heard that, from the beginning, from the moment we saw this woman on the screen, I was ready to take my earrings out and take her to the parking lot.
Take her down.
What?
Take her down.
Yeah. So again, I'm right there with Michaela. I would be like, do you fucking hear yourself? Like, I would be there too. But, yeah, I'm just with Michaela on this one. Like, their words are just wordsing right now. I'm with Michaela.
So, after this happens, Jess's mom, this is a new situation. This is after a little bit of time, but basically we find out that CPS has been called on Jess's mom, and obviously we probably know who did it because it was pretty obvious who did it. However, this kind of shows the kind of person that Jess's mom is. Instead of going to Callie, who you would assume she would think was the one who did it, she actually ends up going to the only Black doctor in the room, Maggie Pierce, and accusing her of calling and attacks her. And Maggie gets so worked up that she ends up punching Jess's mom in the face.
I also just want to point out, it's not that Maggie got worked up. It's this crypt keeper, bone dry pussy ass, raisin looking blonde bitch got in Maggie's face and was screaming at her.
Face.
So like that, honestly, like with all the legal shit, I think that constitutes a good little punch to the face. You know, like I see nothing wrong with this.
Bing bang boom.
Yeah, just a little like bitch. Like
bitch,
fuck off. Like I support this. I'm fine with this. I would have done much worse. Maggie Pierce is a much stronger woman than I am, because if she was this close to me, I would have snapped that bitch's neck. Like, so everyone kind of going off. Everyone is kind of supportive and high fives Pierce. Michaela, would you have done the same?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's been times where I've been at work and some like person has come up to me and said something like very racist or sexist or, you know, you name it, probably said it. And not to their face, but I've had multiple coworkers who have like under their breath said something and then we all high-five them after. I mean, like sometimes people need to hear things, and sometimes people need, like, okay, should she have punched her? No. Do I blame her for punching her? No. So yeah. I would have been in that group as well, for sure.
Yeah. Me too. I would have been right there with her. So back to the kind of we escort this woman out, which is please leave her alone. And both of the girls are out of surgery, and their dads are kind of there, like waiting for them. And Steve and Dakir kind of formally introduce themselves, and we see that Steve is not all that much of a useless piece of shit.
Yeah, he may have been quiet before, but at that point, I think he finally realized that it was more important that his daughter be happy than for her to, I don't even know what to say. How do I say that? For her to be straight. Sure, let's go with that.
So Steve actually full on like, yells and threatens to leave Miss Bethany in her fucking 2-inch heels and take Jess with him if she does not fucking get it together. And like you said, people need to hear things, and that's what made it click in her brain.
Yeah, I think, okay, if you were in his shoes, would you have done the same thing?
Yes. I wouldn't have even told her. I would have just left and pulled the tails of the city and sent the divorce papers in the mail. Like a postcard.
Yeah, but that would have been kidnapping, so that wouldn't have worked out well.
No, it isn't. I mean, this family looked very well off, and if you can get a good lawyer, legal battle it out, sweetheart.
But basically, what we end up with is that he stands up for his daughter. And my favorite thing of that episode is when they pan over to Jessica and she just gives that little smile. Because one of the things that he says to Dakir is so they end up, basically, to go back to that part, they end up sharing photos of their daughters and like being like, this is my daughter, this is my daughter, you know, whatever. And the first thing that he says about Jessica is, you wouldn't know it with the tube in her throat, but she has the most beautiful smile. And so we get to see that beautiful smile after. And it's really cute because also Dakir shows a picture of Aaliyah and Jessica's in the photo with her, which I think is so cute.
That was just like, oh my god, it made me want to slap the mom even more. It's like, these two people are clearly very happy together, and your little fucking, the hair dye must be getting to her in her old age. Like, it was just like, oh my god, I will literally old yeller you in this fucking ER parking lot. But so the dad talks about, again, like the running theme again is like your true core values and morals as a person.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here, you know?
But I also love at the end we get, it's Dakir goes in to go see Aaliyah finally after she's out of surgery. And he opens a letter that Jessica had written for Aaliyah for when she got out of surgery, when she woke up. And it starts with my dearest, or my
beautiful.
My beautiful Aaliyah. And he goes, I like her already. And I just thought that was just, my heart.
I know. I was like, damn. And this is the first episode of season 12. Like, people were getting ready. Like, whatever plot points were going on, like, literally the girl being pregnant or whatever. Like, people were already like, oh, a new season of Grey's Anatomy. And then they were sitting there on their couch, like, in tears after this. And they're like, oh my god. Like,
they started it off with a bang.
Mm-hmm. But both girls are gonna be okay. And in Steve's little, moment, he says Jess is not going to the camp, and both girls are going to be right off into the sunset together, hopefully.
And they ride off to the sunset, the end. Due to the nature of this part of the episode, we will be dropping resources to do with what we just talked about down below in our description box. Also, there will be, any resources for anything that anybody needs will be down there. And please, if you are feeling any sort of way, please reach out to somebody. That's
the suicide
really
hotline is free.
Exactly. Suicide hotline is free. And like I said, those resources are there for a reason. And you are not alone. So please reach out to somebody that you trust and that you feel comfortable doing so too. Because nobody is alone and nobody should have to feel like they are not wanted here.
Yep. So I think that wraps it up for our little 3-episode deep dive. So yeah, let's cut to our outro. Alrighty, well, I hope you enjoyed chatting with us about these incredible episodes of Grey's Anatomy. I think that is going to do it for today's episode, so we will see you all next week. Have an amazing rest of your time.
DJ.
Yeah, Michaela.
You forgot to tell everybody about our socials.
Okay. Do you want to tell them?
Sure. So our Instagram is We Are So Not Straight Pod. Our Twitter is Not Straight Pod. Our TikTok, which, yes, I know, I haven't posted on there yet. I'm working on it. There's a lot that goes into making TikToks, so you know what? We're getting there. Eventually there will be content, so just be patient with me, please. But if you would like to follow us on there, our TikTok is We Are So Not Straight Pod. It's exactly like our Instagram. I made it super easy for you to find us, so go give us a follow on there, please, and thank you. Our YouTube channel, which is where you are right now, so if you don't know where you are right now, then you should go and drink some water. Yeah, do that. But if you don't, yeah, there you go. Thank you, DJ. DJ doesn't know where he is. Anyways, but well, you drank some water. You can't. Anyways, not the point. But our YouTube channel is We Are So Not Straight Podcast. That is where you can find all of the episodes from season 1, season 2, and now season 3. The ones that are out at least. So go check those out. There are a lot of different things that we have talked about during our 3 seasons of the podcast, and you are definitely going to find something that you want to hear. So please go check those out. Give us some thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, comment on our videos, do all the things, get us, in the algorithm. We would really appreciate it. We're trying to get more people listening on there, so please share with your friends, family, strangers,
Friends, fans, family, and folk, in the words of Miss Edwards.
Exactly. So please, that would help us out a lot. We would really appreciate it. And word of mouth is one of the best things for these kind of things. So please share those. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, fits of rage, or suggestions, you can email us at wearesonotstraight@gmail.com. All this information will be down in the show notes. All right, TJ, you can finish the outro.
Okay, well, as I was saying, I hope you all have a fantabulous rest of your day. I'm really enjoying the season so far, and I hope you are all too. Catch us next week for another episode, and we will see you all later. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.